What is something you should judge someone instantly for? People who talk about God and are heavily involved in the church, but yet have children in other states or countries that have limited to no contact with them. People who play a parental role in other children live other than their own. People who choose their partners over their children. People who mistreat or dump animals on the side of the road or on the streets to get rid of them completely or to get a new puppy. People who put their pets in behind their trucks so they can fall and get killed on the highways. Spatial awareness, or a lack of it. Folks who stop in the middle of doorways or walkways, basically people who don't notice or care that they block the way for other people. Takes zero effort to move to the side and let the world keep moving, but they don't. Either they're absolutely, helplessly incompetent, or they're extremely narcissistic and truly believe everyone needs to work harder to get around them at all times. Either way, this person is horrible to be around. Huge red flag. Pedophilia, torture of animals, showing glee when seeing someone being tortured or murdered, i.e. videos. We can attempt to understand these people, but we need to have a line that we draw that determines when we stop giving our sympathy. We all should determine what that line is, because there will always be people who wish to move that line towards more fucked up behaviors in hopes they are still accepted. It's essentially a boundary that we need to have, in my opinion. The shopping cart trial. Basically, it is whether a person puts the shopping cart back when they're done using it. There's nothing to be gained from doing so, yet there's no penalty for not doing it either. Ignoring those where you have to unlock them with a coin or similar. So it is a good indication of people either being helpful and participating, or if they don't care and have a not my problem mindset where they let others fix their problems. Being unnecessarily wasteful. Had a friend who would use plastic disposable ice cube bag tray things instead of just getting a reusable ice mold. With very little convincing and shaming, he eventually got a reusable one. Also getting drunk and harassing, mistreating homeless people. Read a news article about a guy that got drunk and pissed on a homeless man for a laugh. Instant judgment, that guy's an absolute cunt. Hitting younger kids, hitting animals, physically doing wrong. I was judged ruthlessly by a group of people. And never was questioned about it. I also had a hit put on me for real all because idiots wouldn't ask questions. I've been judged numerous times. What I say is, you're not God. You're just a human like I am. Or something like, I'll stand by my God and be judged by this world when I'm done. Smoking. Okay, if you're a smoker, you're probably addicted and are having trouble quitting. I can have sympathy for that. But if you're smoking around other people, then you're being inconsiderate and stinky at best. At worst, you're ignoring the damage your secondhand smoke can do to other people's lungs. Judgment is completely opinion-based. Just because you don't agree with what someone else is doing doesn't make it wrong, evil. Morals are subjective and different for everyone. So my opinion is, there isn't anything you should judge. Especially since you more than likely don't have all of the information. If their kid gets hurt, I'm talking regular, everyday scenarios as a toddler, and they immediately react by coddling them. I learned with my nephews that you don't react and tell them they're okay. They will, in fact, continue on like nothing happened, as opposed to a full-on meltdown. How they are not parenting their child. Letting them scream their heads off, run around in places that aren't playgrounds, destroying things, taking them to places that only adults should go, like R-rated movies and just movies in general, especially if that kid is a newborn, having their butt crack out. A little slip is fine if you realize immediately and then pull your pants up, but if you're sitting at a table with several inches out for an extended period of time, how do you not feel the breeze going through that canyon? Mistreating parents or elderlies. Mistreating women. Trash-talking exes. Mistreating service staff, janitors. Stingy to people, ESB the janitors, crew, cleaners, secretary. Not taking a position on matters of principle and just sit on fences. Hygiene, as in clear as day filth and smell emanating from said person. Have some respect for yourself. Or how they treat small children. It's baffling how many adults don't understand that a 2-year-old doesn't know how to do or act yet. Wishing deaths on civilians of the countries that are at war, and attacking someone strictly because of their religion or ethnic background. People with a certain flag by their names on Twitter tend to do this often. How they treat animals and children. Also, anyone who mistreats the elderly who can no longer defend themselves. Anyone who abuses animals or children, or the elderly, isn't fit to exist, as far as I'm concerned. If your only topic is to gossip about your colleagues and think you are better than them, Yes, I have a colleague who's like that, and she got nothing else to contribute but to talk negatively about someone else. Someone who is so righteous and confident in their opinions, beliefs, they think it gives them permission to treat people who don't share those opinions as scum while feeling completely morally justified. Attitude or vibe. You'll know if they're interested in meeting someone new or not by how they act during your first interaction. If it's not welcoming, then they don't want to socialize with you. Racism against Muslims for the burqa. Racism against Mormons for the holy garments underwear. Racism against Scientologists for the electrometer. Racism against evangelicals for the snakes. Rudeness. I mean, if it's irony I can understand it. But if I speak and you only respond with IDGAF shut up, I'll resist 5 minutes or less before I choke you up and shut you up. Being a convicted rapist of prepubescent children, a member of a theocratic proscribed terror group, a Holocaust denier or a child porn creator, distributor, funder. Being disrespectful, being a compulsive liar, aggressive behavior without a good reason, being racist, sexist or homophobic, cruelty to animals, picking on others, extreme political viewpoints on t-shirts, bumper stickers, and hats. If they are willing to wear it, they are likely wacko. That's a barrier for cult followers. Driving a BMW. Supporting a sports team, Manchester United, New York Yankees, when you're not from the place. Making phone calls on loudspeaker in public. Never anything good to say about their spouse. Sexist jokes that you know they really do mean. Hates Christians. Hates children. Cruel to animals or elderly. I'm not going to say it's good or bad, but if someone wears clothes or has bumper stickers with curse words on them, they're usually a certain type of person. Hurting animals. If someone is bad for animals, it means she is a bad person. You see who someone is when you see how she interacts with animals. Drooping their pants so you can see their underwear and having to constantly pull them up a little bit so they don't completely fall down as they walk. Attitude, superiority complex, irrational, conspiracate theory. Always angry or pissed off, on guard, never any good excuse for their bad behavior. Anti-Semitism. There's a lot of it about these days, and most of it is coming from left-leaning people who consider themselves enlightened. How they treat people providing services for them: waiters, doormen, people in service desks, janitorial staff, cafeteria workers, etc. Screaming at and narrating the people around them. Unless they're in a hospital bed and already getting held, it's completely repulsive. Ignoring their friends as soon as they get into a relationship, spending more time with them than their literal years-long friends. When someone leads with, "I'm a Christian," it more than likely means you're a horrible person with extremely prejudicial views. Locking their doors. "I'm just your neighborhood robber and it makes me sad when I have to turn into the neighborhood burglar. I have so much experience with bad people that I can tell just by looking at them. No need for them to do certain actions." Criminal records. Especially felonies. Especially sex crimes. Yes, you are a bad person if you're a convicted rapist. How they treat a child who makes an honest but possibly costly mistake, such as staining a carpet or breaking a vase. Annoyingness. "Although there's this guy, I really hate him, bro said he just One Piece and now we're basically besties." More of a secondary high school type response. You can tell who's smart and who's not just by the way they speak. Being a smoker. The US Surgeon Report came out 60 years ago. Do you really not know that nicotine is addictive? How they treat their children, but also how they treat strangers like servers, salespeople, retail workers, etc. Or neglect of children or lack of concern about the worldly self-centered mentality, not being able to take fault without playing the victim card. Getting especially fed up with this one lately. Personal hygiene. Don't expect me to shake your hand if you don't wash your hands after using the restroom. Berating and abusing an innocent clerk or waitstaff over something that they don't have any control over. Walking 4 abreast on a sidewalk and forcing others to walk in the street where the cars are zooming by. How they talk about others behind their back, because that's how they will talk about you behind your back. How they treat waitstaff. How they treat animals, whether they try to bring positivity into the world. Saying something cruel to someone, only to say that it was just a joke if that person takes offense. Just leaving their shopping cart out in the parking lot instead of putting it away. Instant pause. Taking drink or drugs that will affect their driving, resulting in risking others by driving. How they treat animals. If they make sexist gross remakes about people, they don't tip well. Instantly. Meaning without any context or history about the person. Tough. Maybe nothing. Wait. It's always poor choices. No. Your thyroid issue didn't make you gain 200 pounds. Whether or not they talk shit about someone the second that person is out of earshot. How they treat working class people. Whether they're working class themselves or not. The American conservative deserves to be judged and subsequently treated like trash. If they pour their milk before the cereal, I'd be a little suspicious around them. People with exceptionally bad breath. Most of the time, bad breath is an easy fix. People parking in handicapped stalls who aren't handicapped, they're simply lazy. Trump supporter. It's been 7 years. If you don't know what he's about by now: pedophilia, prostitution, heroin use, rape charges, terrorism, pathological lying, picking on trans kids. Just read an article about it today, and I'm so steamed. Face tattoos, how they treat service workers, driving slow in the passing lanes. Casual misogyny, even for a woman you don't like. Yes, that includes Karens not putting up their shopping carts. Wearing PJs in public. Personal hygiene, owning or displaying a Confederate flag. It's surprisingly common where I live. One thing I judge people for is if they hold the door open for others or not, thinking they're entitled in any situation regardless of if they actually are. Having no problem seeing Israel killing innocent kids. And bombing hospitals. Treating animals awfully, throwing trash or disrespecting other individuals. Threatening to stab someone. I lost all respect for someone who did this. How they treat other people, especially if they are abusive towards them. Someone smoking while holding their child's hand walking down the road. Doctors, nurses, mental health workers who emotionally abuse patients. It's never their fault and they always have excuses for why it's not. People crying in front of the camera and posting it on social media, whether they have empathy for the death of 4,500 children or not, based on what they think they should judge other people instantly. Coughing, sneezing without making any attempt to cover their face. How they respond to your texts if they leave you unread or not.